Alright, so we're going to try and do a video tutorial to see how we get along with that. Hopefully it'll allow me to go around individually and help you one by one. Now you'll have to ignore how the volume sounds. Unfortunately my headphones broke, so I'm actually using my laptop microphone, which is quite awful, and along with the cold, so it's brilliant. So anyway, we're going to open a JPEG of the poppy, and we're just going to have a look at the selection tools that you used last week. So just a quick recap. So we used the magic wand, the quick selection tool, hopefully some used the lasso tool, and just the basic box selection. Don't forget, with each one you have the extra tools up on the top left here, so you can add new selection, add to selection, subtract from selection, and then you've got the end one. But don't forget, you can hover over and it'll tell you, so intersect with selection. So we've got the add, that's the new selection. So if we're on new selection, when you select somewhere else, it'll forget about your previous selection here and select something new. Then you move over to the add. So if you decide, yes, I want that section, but I also want this section up here, it'll do both together. Obviously, if you make a mistake and you think, I don't want this bottom selection anymore, I'll just select that and get rid. And then you've got the intersect, which you have to think about. When you draw around, it'll only intersect with the bits that you want. So if you have two there, you go to intersect, and you can select those two in the middle, and it'll just keep those. Alright, just bear with me. Okay, sorry, I have to keep pausing to cough, so if it sounds a bit random every now and then, that's why. Okay. So you've got those basic tools up there for all of them. So the quick selection, you can also plus and minus. So if you make mistakes, you can go back, which I think we found last time, which is quite handy. But also you'll find that when you're doing a selection of something very intricate, it's always great to be able to use all three. It will speed up your workflow so much, and obviously changing the size of the brush. Alright, so we're just going to go and select this poppy. As you can see, it's made quite a bit of a mess of it, so I'm just going to go and tidy that up as best as I can. Now obviously I'm just doing this quickly, so if you can take a bit more time and do it a little bit neater. And that'll do, because I don't want to spend too much time. Alright, so now we have the poppy selected. What we can do, is what we didn't run through last time, was we can actually save selections. So if you were working on this picture, for example, and you were trying out different backgrounds, or you wanted different colour poppies, you wanted to duplicate them, so you were doing numerous things to the poppies, and you thought, well, I don't want to go through that process every single time I want to change something with the poppy, then you can save your selection. So in select, in the drop down menus, you can save selection. Now we want to name it in the folder. Obviously this picture is called Poppy. We want a new channel to go with Poppy, and we're going to give the name. So just going to call it Poppy for now. But obviously if you were to do numerous selections, you'd have it, maybe call it background, call it something relevant to what you have selected, and then press OK. So when we right click and deselect, making sure that you right click and deselect over the image, because otherwise you won't get that option, then we can go to select. So we don't have it selected at all, so we can just load the selection and make sure we have Poppy, and there you go. So it'll automatically bring up that selection for you, which is fantastic. Another thing to mention is, though, if you were to load your selection as so, and you are saving your file, So unfortunately, if we went to save, because it's a JPEG, you'd lose your load selection process because it is one flat image. In order to save selections, you'd have to save it as a Photoshop format, so a PSD, because then it will remember that you have those selections. Because when you put masks in, layer masks, layers and everything else, they will always have to be saved in a Photoshop file. Because once you save it as a JPEG, it will flatten that image for you, and that's what you'll get. Alright. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we'll add an adjustment. So we have our selection, and we're going to add an adjustment, which is on the right hand side. And we're just going to select that and select curves. So what you can do here is change the colours, but because you have the poppy selected, when you click on this bar and drag it up or down or around, you can see that only the poppy is affected, which is absolutely fantastic. Obviously it's not too tidy on mine because obviously my selection wasn't perfect. And it also has created a layer mask here. So when we say adjustment, it can technically be a layer mask, and you can see when you hover over it, it will show you a layer thumbnail, and then the next one links the colour. So the layer mask determines which layer of the image will be affected. So that's what a layer mask is. So in the context of layer mask in the picture here, as you can see, right, so as you can see, when we go over to the channels and we hide our red, green and blue channels, come on now, it's not playing, there we go. We need to select our curves or our poppy mask. So we have the poppy mask selected, and then we can remove the red, green and blue channels, and you can see it inverts the selection. So it's exactly what we have in the curves one background there, with the picture with our poppy in a black and white image. So basically white is what has been affected and black is not. So we can do the same when we're painting over an image as well, and we'll go through that later. Let's just put our channels back on and deselect. There we go. So now we've put our image back together. So as you can see, you can double click and rename that. So you could poppy selection, change colour, whichever you find necessary. RGB poppy, and then the background would be the original. And as you can see, it's that simple. Now obviously if you decide you don't want that colour, you can right click on the area and delete, and you'll be taken back to the original photo. Now of course from there you can select load selection, make sure you select your poppy, and then maybe mess with the levels. So you can see the level adjustments on the RGB. It should initially get the same effects, just messing with the RGB colours, the red, green and blue colours, that's by the way. You can see get a bit better contrast on there. So then we can just put that back in, and that's all saved for you. And again, it's done your selection, what you have changed in white, and what obviously has stayed the same in black. So from there you'd have to file save as, and make sure it's under poppy and Photoshop PSD, and save in your area. I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to press cancel, but if you can say that, would be fantastic. Right, so if we wanted to work on the background, we could select our load selection. Make sure you select your poppy. So we have our poppy, but we don't want to work on the poppy. We've worked on the poppy already. We want to change a bit of the background. So what you can do is select an inverse, and what will that do? It'll, instead of selecting your poppy, it'll select, okay, let's select everything else. So now we have everything else selected. We can add a maybe change black and white, obviously. Change. I'm not a photo expert, so you'll have to just bear with me. And that'll add another layer mask in there for you. Now you do have a couple of options, so have a play with them. Obviously try and stick to one selection and one layer mask, just so you don't get confused on how it works at the moment, and we'll go through it eventually. Okay, so now you have 3 layers, as you can see, 1, 2, 3. Now the order of the layers do matter. For example, you have your original one, if you've renamed it, your levels, I don't know why it's called levels 1, but we'll go there, and then you have the black and white. As you can see, if I take them off, you can see which ones are affected. And take them both off, you're left with the originals. So, if I have everything visible, and I want to move the black and white one below the original, you'll see it'll go in order first. So you'll see the colour changes that I did on the poppy, then you'll see the original. But you won't actually see the black and white version of the background because you'll see the original first. So just think of it as a sandwich. If you're looking from top view, this is what you'll see in order, and so forth. So you'll need to put that, as you can see when you move it up, you have a line and you can move it back up there. So it doesn't matter too much in the order of these two because they are 2 different objects within the same picture. So your poppy and your background. But when you get more and more layers, you'll see order of importance will matter. And we'll keep working on that as we go along, so don't worry too much. Alright, so we're going to open a different image now. So I'm just going to close that, so make sure you have saved it. I'm going to File, Open, and let's see what else we've got in here. Okay, so we have a Grand Canyon, and then I'm also going to open, let's put some dangling legs. Alright, so we have these 2 images, but I want them side by side. So we're going to go to the Windows drop-down menu box, arrange 2 up vertical, and as you can see both pictures. Now, I want to get one image into the other, so we're going to take the dangling legs,